Hey YouTube, how you doing? Okay, here's the NSA Whistleblower, Jesselyn Raddick and Thomas Drake on the London Real YouTube channel. This one cat is saying that this Thomas Drake dude tried to come out and he's a former executive for the NSA, and he was trying to follow the rules and do everything legally with unclassified documents, and he remained in the United States. Well, guess what? This proves that the Illuminati is real. They're these scumbags, there is no law anymore. They're doing whatever they want. The cops don't work for us. The Justice Department and them dudes don't work for us. President's doing whatever the hell he wants. It's basically those scum in Washington doing whatever the hell they want, and us people. That's what it is. It's them and us. And I'm not trying to provoke any type of, civil, unrest or nothing like that, because that's what they're aiming it at. They want us to. They're pushing our buttons to try to get us to fight. But let's take a listen to this cat right here, this cat that's doing the London Real, and let's see what he's talking about, the Thomas Drake cat. Let's see what he has to say.
Which, he feels was unjust, and I think I'm with him on this. And it's interesting to see this all come full circle now, because when Thomas did this, there was no Edward Snowden. We didn't know what the NSA were doing, and we didn't know that this might be a huge issue someday. So in retrospect, you have to look at what Thomas did is quite a bold move, and quite a noble move. And so we sat down and talked to them. It gets pretty heavy in here as they both talk about what it really means to not have your privacy and how that can relate to freedom. And I still think it's a place that a lot of people have a hard time getting your head around, how your privacy, someone watching one of your Google Hangouts or reading one of your Gmails can ultimately really affect everything about the world and how your government runs, and even potentially the military-industrial complex. And so it gets pretty complicated and it gets pretty intense. So I hope you enjoy these two. They make a great combination, and it's just nice for us to address these issues as independent media. I know when they were here for their week, they really didn't get a lot of coverage. Jesselyn got some coverage from RT because of her border incident, but it's just it's not something that traditional media usually likes to talk about. And yeah, that's why we're lucky at London Real that we don't give a shit, and we can pretty much do what we want.
Well, I always hoped that someone like Edward Snowden would come along standing on my shoulders. I recognize that I have blown the whistle on a number of government illegalities and wrongdoing, including secret surveillance, but that goes all the way back to the fall of 2001, and during the time in which I was a material witness and whistleblower called before two 9/11 congressional investigations. And I provided them prima facie evidence of a lot of 9/11 related matters. I also blew the whistle on multi-billion-dollar fraud, waste, and abuse, and a significant intelligence failures. So I always hoped that someone, but I was all through channels. I went through every channel that existed. I did make a fateful decision in 2006 after exhausting all previous channels within the government, both at NSA and outside of NSA, but still within the government. I did make a fateful decision to go to the press with what I knew.
And because I think you originally, you chose not to leak any unclassified information, so you thought what you were doing would at the maximum just be a small penalty. You didn't expect to be completely gone after.
Well, I knew that going to the press in 2006, given that they had just launched a massive national security leak investigation as a result of the James Risen and Eric Lichtblau article. It was a blockbuster article published in the New York Times in 2005, revealing publicly for the first time the existence of one portion of the secret surveillance program, what the government conveniently called later the terrorist surveillance program, which was at least one link overseas, even if the other link was in the United States. I knew that I could actually lose my job.
Okay, and you said, I think you were seeing the behavior on a level that was worse than when President Nixon had done in the 70s. What were you seeing that you had to come out and talk about?
Well, I grew up in the 1970s as a very young teenager, and my civic awakening took place during a period in which we had the Pentagon Papers and Dan Ellsberg. We had Watergate, and we had a president of the United States resigning their office.
You know how many people don't know about Watergate? You know, I mean, I was still young for it, but it's such a period of American history that if you look back on it, it's almost flabbergasting to a certain extent. But
this is flabbergasting. What we're going through now, people should be marching in the streets over what NSA is doing. And I think if we were back then, people would be. Because what's going on right now is staggering. And I would submit even scarier because of the technology available and the sheer numbers of people that you can spy on and that the U.S. is spying on.
I always ask people when they come here, what do people...
Okay, and there we have it. You have a lawyer and the other senior executive officer saying straight out to our face how the government, and not all government employees are this way, because apparently there is good people in every facet, in every walk of life. I mean, God's people are everywhere, whether they believe in Jesus Christ or whatever. That's up to them, you know, their own person, because each one of us has our own obligation. Each one of us has to make our own decisions. You know, you're not going to take, when you're dying or you're being judged by Jesus, because we're all going to get judged. And for the people that don't believe it, I'm sorry, but we're going to get judged. You're going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody's going to die. So at some point, this is going to happen. But you can't say, oh, the Pope told me this, or this person told me that. That's not going to work. You know, you're going to be responsible for your own walk and for what you've done in your life, and on and on. So we each have personal responsibility. But going back to this just tells us, okay, all the technology that is coming up, that they provide, they're, again, the same thing. They're the creators. They're the controllers. You know, we can't expect to come onto their system and dominate their system when they're the controller of it. I mean, when they're the creator of it, because we don't know how they're creating these devices. Like, well, okay, just for instance, you buy an Apple iPad, then you gotta then the damn thing, you gotta ask permission from your damn device to do this, that, and the other. I mean, what is that? You done paid like 600 IOUs, because they're not money. I'll keep saying that. And then now you got to ask permission to use the damn thing. I mean, I was under the impression that once you buy something, or once you fund something, that becomes, you know, your device and you get to do as you please. Well, see, that just goes to show you that that's not the truth. You know, they're able to start cameras from the satellites. They're able to listen in. They're able to open microphones. YouTube is blocking a bunch of stuff because they're pissed off. That's why they're trying to regulate the internet, which, by the way, we as the people should really, really, really super duperly consider not using YouTube. We need to get our own system of networking and stop using their crap. Stop using their name and number. Stop using their services. I know this is mind-boggling, and a lot of people are going to tell me that I'm crazy and cuss me out or whatever. But honestly, it's a satanic demon system. Period. It's a Satanist system. And how are you going to get any type of justice in a Satan system? You're not. See, this one guy went through all the legal channels, and you heard him say that he exhausted everything. The only thing that worked for him was the press, and now they got the media. What we got working for us as of today is we got independent media. Each one of us needs to exercise our First Amendment right to freedom of speech and become an independent journalist, which is what we're all doing. Because I'm doing it. This guy right here, in the London Real guy, he's doing it. You know, all the other people that have YouTube channels, they're doing it. But the problem is that we're doing it on something that they control, which is YouTube. You guys know that Illuminati is the owner of the YouTube, right? So they're watching all the stuff coming back and forth and all the traffic. So it wouldn't be such a it would be it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to maybe not use YouTube and go somewhere else. Now, I don't personally have the exact knowledge of how to network all these computers together, but there's got to be a way. So there's people, my walk of life is way different than someone else's. Maybe someone else out there that feels the way we do, that we want our privacy and that we want what this country originally standed for, and now is just completely way out there in outer limits now. Because they're just bold and arrogant with it. They're just putting it in our face. We're going to do whatever we want, and you ain't going to stop us. And we're going to punk you and take your and treat you guys like slaves. Because that's what they're doing. Anyway, let's listen a little bit more to this cat, and then I'll wrap it up.
Like in the U.S., what are people saying? Because all we see is what's happening in the U.K. And most people say that most Americans just don't seem to have that much of a problem with a lot of the information. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think people are coming around. I mean, I think, at least with Snowden, in terms of believing Snowden did the right thing, NSA is doing bad things, and that we shouldn't have as much surveillance. I think public opinion is shifting. It's about 60% who believe that right now and about 40% who don't. But I think part of the problem is over the last 12 years since 9/11, there has been so much fear-mongering by the government that they've been able to create an entire surveillance state based on that, by playing on people's fears, and they're still trying to justify these programs based on, well, when the next terrorist incident happens, don't go complaining if you kill our surveillance. That has been normalized and inured to people. And so they think, kids who were born after 9/11 don't even get what pre-9/11, what a September 10th world was like. And therefore they accept more encroachments into their personal liberty. And there's that whole, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear, which is simply not true.
Right. I guess if you haven't lived through a time of extreme, censorship and seen the world wars and all the things going on, and all you can do is read about it in the history books, then you hear that attitude a lot by the millennials or whatever it is that we call them. And you were basically a few days from being prosecuted before you had a big 60 Minutes expose, which do you think change the prosecution attempts or the judges' attempts?
It was one of a number of public pronouncements and media releases. There had been a blockbuster article written by Jane Mayer in the New Yorker that just been published in the previous week.
Okay.
I had received the Written Hour Truth-Telling Prize in April of 2011. And the case itself was actually collapsing within the federal court before the judge. And although the government had other options available to it, when we got to that very last week, I ultimately ended up on my terms pleading out to a minor misdemeanor for having exceeded authorized use of a computer. It's like doing Facebook on government time.
Okay. And in a nutshell, what were they trying you for, and what were you actually revealing to the public?
Well, it's important for your audience to appreciate. I was actually the first whistleblower since Dan Ellsberg of Pentagon Papers fame,
which is
charged in
70s.
like manner. That was early 1970s, in which he actually went to trial facing 115 years. In my case, I was charged with espionage, just like Ellsberg, as well as obstruction of justice and making false statements, which in themselves were false to FBI agents. I was facing 35 years plus in prison if I'd been found guilty on all 10 felony counts. This was under the Obama administration, and this was really the opening shot, which is we're going to send the most chilling of messages, that if you dare hold up a mirror to the government, if you dare speak truth to power or of power, we're going to hammer you and hammer you good. But the media themselves, and this is Jesselyn herself leading my defense in the court of public opinion, it took many, many months to counter the meme that I was a leaker, that I was endangering national security, and that I was actually a whistleblower, that what I was blowing the whistle on was government illegality, violations of the Constitution, massive fraud, waste, and abuse and wrongdoing. And that even the major media finally came around. In fact, there was 2 blockbuster Washington Post op-eds on the eve of my public trial, editorials, that actually made the cases, wait a minute, government, maybe you were overreaching here just a bit. Maybe he is a whistleblower. Oh, no, by the way, and this is hearkening back to the 1970s, which the Post was the paper of record for all of the revelations about Watergate,
right,
with Bernstein and Woodward, right?
I mean, without that paper, then there would be no Watergate. Correct?
That's right. And so they published these really powerful editorials saying, we do have an interest in government affairs. It is in the public interest. And that was quite significant for the Post as the paper of record to say so. And so I ended up vindicated. I was able to hold them off. That certainly didn't stop the government. And I didn't end up in prison, nor did I pay a fine.
But at the same point, the government didn't take any PR hits necessarily for that. I mean, as far as you can't really chalk it up as necessarily a win for you because they didn't have any repercussions on the back of that.
Well, I think in a way, I do think it was a win for Tom because actually the judge chastised the prosecution publicly, and that got a lot of media attention and said, you made this man's life, you put him through 4 years of living hell, and you were acting like the British with general warrants coming and trashing his house and treating him like a criminal when he had done absolutely nothing like what you said in the indictment. So Judge Bennett, who was actually a Bush appointee, actually a conservative judge, because of that very powerful statement, I think that got a certain amount of media attention. But I think in Tom's case, in Snowden's case, in all these Espionage Act prosecutions of whistleblowers, you have to win not just in the courtroom, but in the court of public opinion, because the very fact that they charge whistleblowers with espionage automatically paints them as traitors and enemies of the state. And therefore, you have this weird, messed up dichotomy, false dichotomy with Bradley Manning, with Ed Snowden, and with Tom at the time of hero or traitor. And it's neither. There are whistleblowers who revealed information that evidenced, at a minimum, stuff embarrassing to the United States, but actually, in fact, stuff that was quite illegal and that was in the public interest to know.
And when the judge lambasted...
Okay, there you go. They're doing their dirtiness, and as long as they're getting away with it, everything's fine. But as soon as somebody comes with the truth or tries to speak the truth, they're quick. They're quick to slap them down, to call them traitors, to call them whatever. They're crazy. We're looking at Davey Chappelle. They built walls in his office talking about he was tripping, that wall wasn't never there, and they all cahooted against him. I mean, we see this time and time again, and this is the type of stuff that, as one man, we feel that this is that we can't do nothing, but that can't be further from the truth, because the one equation that we all seem to not put in there is God is still present on this earth. I mean, for whatever reason, the judge said, "Hey, prosecutor, you're making this dude's life miserable. 4 years, you're trashing his house, treating him like a criminal. You got this attorney, you see." She was in there saying, hey, she was defending him. So not all people in all walks of life are bad. People are doing whatever they're doing in their particular position in life to try to make it. But as information is coming available, they're starting to sit and say, wait a minute, whoa, I thought I was doing something right. Because most people probably don't even think that they're doing wrong. They're just unaware of what others are aware of. And from what I'm learning a bunch of stuff from other people, and hopefully I'm saying a bunch of things that will enlighten other people, and on and on and on, because we're just like a big giant community. The world is like a big house, and we're all living under the same house. But the problem is that these evil Illuminati 1%ers that they're out there picking a fight, making people pick fights, and that's what it boils down to. Specifically, he's a white guy. Oh, he's a Mexican dude. Oh, that's a black dude. And then they start using derogatory names of this and that, and then gays and this and that, and they're just putting all of us against each other, while they're off running in the back room making all this disgusting things that they're doing back there. Jesus says, a house divided cannot stand. So keep us divided and fighting over here, and they get to run off with everything, and in the process hurt all of us at the same time. This is not the white man. This is not a white man, black man thing, or a Mexican, Asian, or Indian, or none of it. No. This is a devil, God thing. This is an almighty, Jesus Christ, almighty God, Satan thing. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I mean, you are a human. You are a man or a woman. And according to their own documents, we're all equal. All men are created equal. Look in the Declaration of Independence. It's right there. So it's not about a white and a black thing. It's a Jesus Christ, God, devil thing. It's a good and bad thing. Anyway, this is going to wrap it up for this segment. I just wanted to, put this out there that there's still a lot of good in the world. A lot of people just don't know. They just don't realize because they're on the job. They got busy lifestyles. Others, everybody has their own position in this thing we call life. But it's up to everyone to try to help each other out and try to put it out there. And the main fact that we're able to exercise our First Amendment right to freedom of the press, become independent reporters, that in itself needs to be protected, because this is how we're trading information away from their little group, their little media thing where they control it and tell them what to say and what not to say. And it's just, it's not good. Anyway, this is Real Talk. And I'll catch up with you guys next time. God bless.